Hello and welcome everyone back to the Tiberium Armory series. It's been a little while. Back where I live, we had a huge ice storm and we don't have a lot of fir trees in the area. It's mostly like oaks and stuff, so the branches all became suddenly too heavy for the trees and then broke off and took power lines down, and all from like last Friday or Friday before that, I can't remember which, the sky would just be lighting up with the transformers blowing. It was just awful. It took a week and a day to get my power back, and then it took a long time for me to troubleshoot my computer and return it to normal, and it's still not up to normal. Anyway, this week I have the Avatar Warmech for you, and I hope you enjoy it. The Avatar Warmech was first developed in the years before the start of the Third Tiberian War, before Cain revealed himself by the Black Hand separatist, Brother Marcion. The idea of a Brotherhood walker was a combination of factors. The Brotherhood's observation of the tremendous loss of life and material to GDI walkers, and their need for a direct counter, the availability of cyborg units, and their scalability, and finally, most noted by the Brotherhood itself, a battle in which Marcion held off a GDI assault with a flamethrower, inspiring the troops around him. There are two main forms of the Warmech, the Purifier and the Avatar, though the walker went through several design stages to arrive at the final form. The first, showed a non-humanoid form, showing that the project likely had been in development for General Nod forces before Marcion started the project, or rather, commandeered it. This design featured reverse-jointed legs, many visible optics, and likely several solid-state lasers as weapons. Whether this version was powerful enough to engage armor is unknown. Its size is also not clear, but it appears to be somewhere between 22 to 26 feet tall and 18 feet wide. The second design, showed here, is a much larger version, standing at somewhere around 60 feet tall, that carried no visible weapons and was likely built to be a command and control walker. The third design, in the rear of that image, is another slightly larger reverse-jointed walker similar to the first, that carries two large weapons of unknown types, seemingly more combat-oriented. These larger walkers could likely contain anywhere from 10 to dozens of crew members operating many components of the walkers. These versions were likely far too large for practical use by the Brotherhood after the cataclysm of the Second Tiberian War, and never saw use in combat, at least in the games. Therefore, after the design and testing of the different vehicles, the first prototype was likely repurposed into the first version of the Avatar, the Purifier, with Marcion's mandate to make it more human-like and add a high-power flamethrower. The Purifier stands at 30 feet tall, and like a human has two arms and two legs. On his right arm is located a miniaturized version of the obelisk Isis laser, which is his primary defense against vehicles, and on its left arm is a three-fingered hand. With these two weapons, the Purifier is a base killer, especially when paired with infantry, as it also sports subliminal messaging speakers which sends Nod troops into a frenzy. The last weapon that the walker possesses, and is most controversial, is its legs. Strange to say, as the mini Isis laser is almost on par with the obelisk by itself, it can be fired much faster. No, the legs of the vehicle are much more interesting, as they tie into another interesting problem. There's no known data on the weight of these vehicles. This is a problem, considering that with every other vehicle on this list that I've done so far, well-grounded speculations could be made based on other vehicles and the materials used. The Avatar is a conundrum for that reason, as the vehicle has the ability to crush other vehicles underfoot. As an aside, the medium tank from the First Tiberian War weighs around 60 tons, can crush smaller vehicles like cars and trucks easily. The Mammoth Mk3 weighs around 110 tons and can easily crush Predator tanks under tread. The Avatar therefore must weigh a considerable amount to be able to crush a vehicle like the Predator, but its frame is much smaller than that of a Predator, leading to the question as to where the actual weight is going in the frame to achieve that crushing power. The Avatar is 30 feet tall and around 13 wide and about 8 feet thick at the chest. The Avatar is certainly made of exceptionally rare, heavy and exotic materials, likely derived from Tiberium, but whether or not it has the weight to crush a tank is unknown. To answer these questions, there are two main factors to consider: the crush resistance of a tank and the power in the legs of the Avatar. The first part to discuss is the crush resistance. Tank is a very large, very heavy, and very sturdy frame of steel designed to take hits from a variety of angles and protect the crews. But, just like cars and trucks, they are not designed with crushing force in mind. Certainly, tanks are substantially more resistant to downward force than cars due to their sturdy superstructure. And this is the point in the video where I would normally give a speculation on the weight of the vehicle and what the stress of the crush resistance is, but I don't really have the technical ability to approach the physics of this. I'm not an engineer by trade, so best I guess I can give is that the Avatar weighs something like 8 to 10 tons and has legs that could produce forces of up to 20 tons. Heavy enough for its size, with plenty of crushing force, enough to irreparably damage the turret or shocks at the very least, making the tank unusable. This is where I would like to ask my audience about this, what you think about this. Could something like this conceivably exist? Would it be able to stand up on feet of that size, given the force it'd be projecting into its feet with every step? That particular question was brought up by Dark Excalibur 42, and was a layer that I had not yet thought about. Alright, that aside, given that it could stand and crush tanks, what is the speed of the Purifier? Well, the Purifier is a little less speedy than the Predator tank or the Scorpion tank, moving at a top speed of around 50 miles an hour, but most likely a lot less than that in its regular battlefield conditions at a comfortable average of 20. Even if it's not quite as fast as in top speed as other vehicles, it is a bipedal walker, which means it has a much easier time moving over difficult terrain, meaning it could move faster than many other vehicles in similar circumstances, making a terror to fight. While it is unlikely that it could climb, it is very likely that it could jump, given the crushing force that it could produce with its leg hydraulics. The Purifier's flamethrower was capable of throwing burning fuel up to 100 meters, burning everything that it touched, especially when combined with the Purifying Flame upgrade. It is unknown how much napalm it had stored, but likely, given its size and the relative size of the fuel tank, only had enough fuel for a few sustained bursts. Napalm burns at temperatures around from 800 to 1200 Celsius, or 1470 to 2190 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition, it burns for a greater duration than a gasoline, as well as being more easily dispersed and sticking tenaciously to its targets. Dousing a vehicle with it isn't usually very effective, except for older vehicles or smaller ones like the Pitbull or the Humvee. But even being near a napalm is damaging enough for humans, so it makes a very effective weapon, especially when paired with the ISIS laser. Now just picture this for a moment, because every time I see the Avatar and the Purifier in combat, in game, it really doesn't do justice to what the capabilities of this vehicle really are. The 30-foot tall Purifier striding through an urban battlefield, lasers pulsing as it crushes the remains of a melted tank beneath it. Around the walker, surges of infantry driven mad by the messaging of the walker push forward in deadly waves of lead and flesh until the enemy is driven back or left in a melted heap. Peace through power indeed. The second generation stock Avatar is armed only with its monstrous strength and its miniature ISIS laser, but is far more versatile than the Purifier version. The Avatar has the ability to integrate other technology into its chassis, including a cloaking device, particle laser, stealth detectors, and a flamethrower, though it requires a donor vehicle if the technology is commandeered on the battlefield. The fully upgraded second generation is superior in every way to the Purifier. In this form, it becomes a true horror, able to battle mammoth tanks and generally come out victorious. They become such a large threat that a pack of 5 to 6 avatars fully upgraded can pose a lethal threat to epic units like the Mammoth Armed Reclamation Vehicle or the Eradicator Hexapod. Now picture this, an ongoing battle taking place in a city, tanks and infantry firing each other, and the Avatar barrels in, running at 30 miles an hour, oozing everywhere down with napalm. It flickers in and out of existence as the invisibility field kicks in and out. The only evidence that is there, that the crushed pavement beneath its feet. It appears and melts a tank with 2 fierce blasts of its laser cannons, detonating the ammo in the vehicle and sending its turret soaring into the sky. A missile is fired, but it dodges out of the way. A bicycle-sized flamethrower swivels in the direction of the offender. It's only been there for moments, but the enemy is already broken and fleeing before its power. The Avatar is the ultimate expression of Kane's doctrine of the technology of peace, and the ultimate weapon Nod fields in the battlefield, when not fielding their dreaded Redeemer, of course. It packs significant firepower and is incredibly maneuverable, a direct opponent to mammoth tanks, GDI's Apocalypse on treads. Only a vehicle on that scale could truly fight against it, and any other is brought low with a flick of its wrist. With the entrance of the Avatar onto the battlefield, the fascists of GDI all singularly lament the termination of the Mammoth Mk2 Walker program. And that's it. I hope you guys have had a good time, and if you have, please consider subscribing or liking the video, and I will see you guys next week with another vehicle, and I hope you have a wonderful day.